We are on air.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We hope that you had a very exciting, fun-filled, and learning-filled morning from our morning tracks. We have a lot of activity on Twitter, and the hashtag is blowing up, so let's keep that energy going for the afternoon. We are going to do a quick rundown on how the afternoon sessions go, but we're going to do that after our keynote speaker. So without further ado, I had a slide up, but I don't know what happened to it. So we're just going to go on. We have Shelly Sanchez Terrell. She is an award-winning digital innovator, an ESL specialist, and an author of several different books, including Hacking Digital Learning, if you're familiar with the Hacking Education series. She's trained teachers and taught learners in over 20 different countries and has been recognized as a leader in teacher development. And she's won a countless number of awards, but including Woman of the Year by the National Association of Professional Women, a BAMI Award. She's the founder of hashtag EdChat, and she's been named one of the 10 most influential people in EdTech, which is awesome. So in her keynote that she's about to give, called Fostering a Culture of Innovation, Students Who Sail, she's going to be sharing the keys to transforming learning environments and places where students find their drive, harness their most powerful ideas, and are allowed several attempts in their learning, sail, to see their ideas begin to blossom. At the end of the day today, when we send out the form that you need to complete your PD credit, we're also going to be sending out a form that you can complete. And by doing that, you're going to be receiving a free digital copy of Shelly's book, Learning to Go, the first edition. So without further ado, we're so excited to have her, our keynote speaker for the afternoon, Shelly Sanchez Terrell.
Well, thank you so much for that awesome introduction. And I'm super excited to be with you today. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And I want to give a round of applause to the organizers who have, and the presenters, because this is really an awesome virtual event. I'm going to change over to my slides with you. So that'll take just a second to share those. And I want to let you know where I'm coming from while these slides come up. So I'm coming to you from near Houston, Texas, where my current role, and this is kind of the first year I stepped full-time in the classroom, I'm an elementary computer and technology teacher. I see over 400 elementary students, and so I want to share with you what I found when trying to foster innovation and really spark their imagination. And I want to fuel your passion for that. So what I believe is the key to fostering innovation and inspiring young inventors and creators and problem solvers is this acronym, SEL, several attempts in learning. And in a short time with you, that's what I really want to give you resources and ideas and practical solutions for. I came up with this acronym because I've shared in, if you've seen some of my keynotes or you've read some of my blog posts or books, I talk a lot about growing up in a very poor neighborhood in San Antonio, Texas. And in my neighborhood, people didn't really graduate from high school, much less attend college. But my father wanted all his 5 daughters to be first-generation college graduates, and that did happen. And his philosophy that he passed on to me was that you never fail unless you don't try. And so to really bring that out and make my students realize this, I show them this picture that I'm showing you. It's actually a very famous patent of an invention that transformed, changed the world. And maybe in the comments, you can guess what this is. And you may have guessed that this is actually the light bulb by Thomas Edison. Reason I showed this famous patent is because and then I asked them the question that I'm going to be asking you, which is, how many attempts, how many tries did it take Thomas Edison to come up with this patent, to come up with this idea of the light bulb that really worked for him? And so I want you to think about that number. Was it one try? Did he, magically come up with this idea after once? Or maybe was it 10 times, 100 times, 1,000? It was actually 9,999, or around that number, of designs before he finally found the one that worked. And the reason I use this example is because I want you to think about what that means to try at something for 9,990 times, 99 times. And I want you to think about, and I ask my students this as well, even my little second graders, what would you attempt? Or what are you passionate about, or some problem that you really want to find the solution to, that you would dedicate or get back up and try again after failing over 9,000 times until you get it right. And so I believe that really talks about several attempts in learning and being an innovator. Because what I found as an innovator is that on that road, it's a journey. It's a very long, hard journey, and it just doesn't happen magically. And too many times, especially with teaching very young learners, I have a toddler as well, I've seen where they fall down, or they can't move, type fast enough, or maybe that we're using PowerPoint or spreadsheets, or doing a Google presentation, or working on a Bunsy, and they can't figure out how to resize a picture or insert music, or one of these simple tasks that we think about, but they're still learning, and they just shut down and they stop. And I really want to motivate them and let them know, you got to get back up. And I think that's the hardest job that we have as educators, is we have to be able to find a way to not just get them back up once, but for them to find the drive and the passion to want to get back up over 9,000 times. And so with that in mind, it's especially important that educators and schools really began to foster innovation really early on. If we're giving students the opportunities to innovate, create, build, imagine. And I really love some of the presentations that I spent some time in the elementary track today. So I love the ideas that came out of there, co-spaces. I saw some different tracks where there's a lot of great stuff about working with Google. And so I can see that already there's a lot of educators out there who are innovating, even at a very young age, with very young ages. And I think that's exciting. But these are some specific things and examples and resources I want to provide with you in the next few minutes that we are together, is ways that you can champion student ideas, involve them in the process of innovation, help them to solve problems that they really care about. Design. We don't spend enough time designing. Getting them to spend time investigating problems, and also working with programs, and most importantly, making them resilient. So to do this and to be able to inspire them and let them know, hey, I really do believe, even though you're 7, you're 8, you're 9, you're 11, you're 13, 14, 15, whichever age you teach, that yes, you have the ability to change the world. And especially in a connected world, I'm sharing with you, you're in Kentucky, or you're somewhere else around the world, and you get to be with me today. And that's so exciting. But our students have that power too. They have the power to connect on social media, to run hashtag campaigns. And these are 2 brilliant examples of 2 young innovators who have transformed the world. Joshua Williams, I've gotten him to speak at some of my online conferences I've organized to share his story. And his story begins when he was 4 years old. He was walking with his grandmother. He saw a homeless person. And when he realized just giving $1 or so wasn't enough to feed that person, he created an organization, used his social media, and was able to feed now over 1 million homeless people. Another teen, which is Natalie Hampton, decided she wanted to help reduce bullying. And the way she did this was she created an app, the Sit With Us app, where students can find other peers to sit with during lunch. And there's countless more, but our world, it's a bit of a mess. And so we really do need your learners to become young innovators as well. So where does innovation begin? Innovation also begins with transforming the curriculum, the learning environment, and giving students constant opportunities to innovate. I realize we have 45-minute time frames, or we have certain things we have to do to reach standards, and we have testing dates. But in the midst of all of that, there are real solutions. There are ways, even with limited resources and funding, that you're able to provide this for your learners. These are some examples here. And one of the great things that I've used this year that I tapped into and I love is Donors Choose, even grants. And that gives that's given our school the ability to have teachers be able to bring play equipment inside the classroom, be able to get stuff for stations, to where even if you have limited space, we have very small spaces in our classrooms, but that you can share with them a box that they can just take out, or maybe have a cart where you have like a mission card and they're accomplishing something, or even where you can have a maker space like in a library, or even where you can get a kit, or even like a 3D printer. And so Donors Choose has been one of the ways that we've been able to fund that. A lot of the communities and companies around Houston, Texas will actually support Houston schools. And so it's been a really, really incredible experience. But there's also a lot of grants. And, you know, a lot of times you can partner with businesses and they'll be able to provide some support as well. These are some other ways to get your students to innovate. And this is something definitely that I've seen in some of the presentations. And also, if you're a connected educator, then if you're on Twitter, if you're connecting on Facebook groups, if you're connecting on Instagram, Pinterest, you can find a lot of free resources, templates that you can copy and edit. There's a lot on my blog that I'm always sharing for free. And a lot of teachers will do that to be able to help you along the way. So I think it's really important that in order to inspire your students to be innovators, it's also important that teachers are innovative with their curriculum as well. And I know we already dedicate so much time to learning our own professional development, training, reading books, being part of online communities. But if we can just think about one idea that you learned in this conference, or maybe that you saw on Twitter, or maybe that you recently learned about at an ed camp or meetup, then and think of, just one of those ideas that maybe you're is out of your comfort zone to try. Maybe virtual reality, augmented reality. I saw things about CoSpaces, which is awesome. And to be able to just think, hey, I'm going to take that one idea, I'm going to introduce it to the curriculum, see what my students are able to do with that and how they can inspire me. Sometimes it's hard to think of when we think of innovation and in coming up with ideas or problems for students to solve. There's so many different problems around the world, but you don't always have to come up with the problems to solve yourself. You can make them join contests. And so this past year, I had my elementary students join the Google Doodle contest. And so they were able to submit drawings, which I really love because they're still learning how to use the different programs. And also they were also able to do things on 3D Paint and design their own, which they did such an amazing job. It was just really inspiring. And that's one of the great things about innovation, is if you're giving your students constant ways to be able to problem solve, design, create, be imaginative, then they're always going to inspire you and fuel your passion for teaching as well. And when I found being especially integrating technology, innovation and technology are tied together. And so it's not so much this focus on technology, but what it is that if we really want students to be able to critically think, to problem solve, and to be able to ethically question and ponder and develop some kind of stance on the technologies that surround them, that they are immersed in and will be part of their future. It's really important that we get them to use those technologies. So some people argue, well, what is the merit of virtual reality if they're just, walking around touring something? Or what is the merit of artificial intelligence? It's that when they eventually enter the field, that is going to be a huge part of their reality. And if they've had no experience in that, it's going to be be really tough for them to kind of think of everything that's a part of that, because there's a lot of decisions they have to make with those innovation and designs as part of the technology. So one of the things that I found and I really loved, I went through this GT training by the Gifted Guru, and so okay, that means I'm gonna have to end soon. But one thing she taught me was about icons, and icons are so important with technology. One of the reasons why is because all around us, if you learn the menu icons in one program like PowerPoint, you can use Google Slides, you can use Google Spreadsheets. They're the same. And one of the ways that I can show you that it'll be same in the programs years from now is an example is this floppy disk, which means save. And even though our kids have never used that floppy disk, they'll still be able to know that if they see this in a program, even like 3D Paint or another design, that they'll be able to really use other programs as well. So what can educators do? I've already shared with you some examples of these ideas, and so I'm wrapping up already and just want to encourage you to go to shellyterrell.com/sell to find even more ideas. You can even find my books there, which provide different types of missions for students, a curriculum of 10 missions. They get a digital badge. I have it in paper and also in digital form, over 32 digital resources. You can edit, do whatever you want with. And then the 30 Goals Challenge for teachers. That's where I give you missions and challenges like the one that's next, which is continue to be an connected educator. Take that one idea that you found in this conference that really inspires you, you're going to use with your students, and I'm going to challenge you or give you this mission to tweet it, share that person who taught it to you, that presenter, their links with the KYGO digital hashtag. And finally, as a mother of a future world changer, and she was here saying hi to the organizers before this, I want to thank you, because my daughter, she's at the age too, and when she sometimes falls or slips or is too afraid to go on a slide or trampoline, I have to constantly get her to have that ability to get back up, to say, oh, it's okay, you might hurt yourself, but get back up, do it again. You know, I'm here with you, and give that encouragement. So I know that teachers who take the time out of their Tuesday or, you know, the weekend and come to places virtually to learn are really the kind of teachers that will spark innovation and really will have that relationship to be able to champion that student. You can also find giveaways if you go to the first link here. You can connect with me in all these places, and that's where I can also share more resources or answer more questions. And so I'm open to questions. Thank you so much for joining me today, and hopefully I've inspired you, or you've been inspired by some of the presentations and the future presentations coming up.
Ellie, thank you so much. We have tons and tons of people here on the chat that are just agreeing with you and thanking you for also sharing your story and your advice and your wisdom. What did you think, Caitlin?
I feel so fired up, and I'm ready for this next school year to start already, even though we just ended, because that was a powerful, powerful keynote, and I know that we are all begging to see more of her resources. So thank you, Shelly, so much. That was truly just what we needed to get back into this afternoon.
So I want to make sure that everybody knows, you go back to your session matrix there and find the session that you are interested in. We've got oodles of learning to continue to do, and go ahead on that hashtag KYGoDigital and make sure that on Twitter you share what you are learning along, so that we multiply this learning across the world, right? So the world. Yes.
And we have another Twitter challenge to send out, if we can share that real quick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to put the camera on you.
Yeah, let me share my screen really quick, and we're going to tweet this out. So make sure you're following the hashtag KYGoDigital. This morning's challenge was to tweet out a selfie of how you are doing KYGoDigital today. And this time we're going to answer in a GIF form, and it is pronounced GIF, right, Heidi Noltner? So this time, your challenge is to tweet out a GIF to show your reaction if you were to win a copy of Katie Martin's Learner-Centered Innovation, or Shelly, sorry, your name's backwards on there, Shelly Sanchez Terrell's Hacking Digital Learning. Make sure you include the hashtag KYGoDigital, and we might just have a copy of each book to give away to the lucky winner. So make sure that you send out your GIFs so you can possibly be the winner of a copy of their book. So it's now the time for us to start moving to our PM sessions. If you go to the agenda, you'll see in the afternoon, there's 3 different choose your own session links. So if you click on the first one, it's going to bring up our first share and create session 1 slide. And from here, you've got 8 different choices of presenters that are going to be speaking specifically on either a tool that they use and use well, and they'll explain how to use it and when you would, or about specific content areas. So the first track, these are your 8 choices. What you'll do is on the right-hand side, there's a link for their presentation slides if you want to take a copy of those to keep with you for later. On the left-hand side is going to be your YouTube live links where you're going to be logging in to access their actual presentation. So they're actually in their Hangouts right now waiting on you. So we'll give you about 4 minutes or so to start moving over to the session of your choice, and then they'll get started with the afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us.